ask questions of your leaders, teachers, and preachers. Far too long you have stumbled in darkness searching for light. We have a man in our midst who can bring forth true fact beyond doubt, that can open the eyes and ears of those lost in darkness. As Saeed al-Imam Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi is that man, and the author of over 150 books of a religious and scientific nature. As Saeed al-Imam Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi has brought forth this information straight from the scriptures, so it cannot be denied. So we invite you to listen, to learn from the true light featuring as Saeed al-Imam Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi.
نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الوالي الكريم وصلى الله على أنبياء أجمعين والمسيح والمهدي والمجدد لمن مرسلين. Are we not the bearers of witness that nothing would exist if Allah didn't create it, and that He is alone and has no partners, and that all gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sustainer of all the boundless universes. All gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the generous eternal friend, and send salutations of Allah on all of His prophets and His apostles, and on the Messiah, the anointed one, and on the Mahdi, the guide, and on the Mujaddid, the reformer, which was all sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send greetings and we send peace throughout the boundless universe to all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
You are now listening to The True Light with Saeed al-Imam Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi.
Would you break down chapter 2, verse 7 of the Holy Quran and how it relates to people who hear the truth, but then they always want to argue with you?
Okay, inna alladhina kafaru, again, surely those who are kafir, they maliciously attempt to cover the truth. It's sawa'un, it's equal, it equivalents to alayhim, on them. It says anzartahum. The word nazar means to warn somebody. It calculates whether you warn them am lam tundirhum, or you warn them not. La yu'minun. They're not going to be faithful. So what it translates to mean? Surely those who try to cover the truth, it comes out the same whether you try to warn them or if you don't warn them. They're still not going to become faithful. Now you can talk yourself purple in the face trying to convert some of these people who think they understand Islam. You're wasting your time because they think they got it figured out. Because they bypassed the Quran and went to Hadith. But they bypassed the book called Revelations, and they went into the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which are Jesus' hadith. They bypassed the Torah, and they went into the Talmud, which is the hadiths of the Torah. And how the Jews live by the Talmud, the Christians live by the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and the Muslims are living by Bukhari, Muslim, Shafi, Hanbal, and hadith people. And all of them have gotten away from the text of Allah. The book of Jesus was the book of Revelation. How do you know? Read it. Anybody got a Bible? Open it to Revelation. It says this is the number one part of Revelation. This is the revelation of Jesus the Messiah, which the Lord gave unto Him to show unto His people what must shortly come to pass. That's exactly what it says. You won't find that in the book of Matthew. You won't find that in the book of Mark. You won't find that in the book of John. You won't find that in the book of Luke, Timothy, or any other books. But right in the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 1, this is the revelations of Jesus Christ which the Lord gave unto Him to show unto His people what must shortly come to pass. Is that what it says in the Bible? In the book of Revelation? So what book is Jesus' book? The Revelation. It told you. Not Mark, not Matthew, not Luke, not John. Those are His hadiths. And because of those hadiths is why we have so many different denominations. From John the Baptist, we got the Baptist. That the Pentecostals from the point of the Pentecost. 7-day Adventist for the 7-day advancement of the angels. Jehovah's Witness for Jehovah, it shall be my witness. People took these books, was not the book of Revelation, you see. and derive the names of their congregations from them. Now, instead of going to the book to get their name, here we go. Masjid Taqwa, Master Fair, Master Jamia, Community Mosque, Masjid Ikhwa, the Brothers Mosque, Yasin Mosque. The Yasin is a symbolic meaning of Allah. None of these are in the Quran. Nowhere in the Quran does it tell you to call yourself Masjid Ikhwa. But in the Quran it does say, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kunu ansarullah. Oh, you who believe, be ansarullah. Kunu is an order tense for a group of people. Kunu ansarullah. Be aiders in Allah's way. Oh, you who are of the faithful. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kunu ansarullah. It tells you what to be, right there in the Quran. It doesn't tell you to be Masjid Ikhwa, Masjid Mu'minun. It doesn't tell you that. There's some men put together. We're not Ansarullah community because we like the way it sounds. We're Ansarullah because we found our name there in Allah's words. وَتَصِمُوا بِالْحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَامِعًا. So therefore we say جَامِعًا, جَامِعَ Ansarullah, جَامِعَةُ Ansarullah. وَتَصِمُوا بِالْحَبْلِ. وَتَصِمُوا, grab a hold of the habl Allah, of the rope of Allah. وَتَصِمُوا بِالْحَبْلِ اللَّهِ, as a جَامِعًا, as a community. Communities do not come to the mosque only on Friday and then going about their many ways. Now what the Quran says, it says, Jami'an wa la tafarraqun. The word farraq is from the same word as nufarq, distinction or differences. Now, hold on, tuggle on the rope of Allah as a community, it says. And don't be divided. You walk into a mosque and everybody's dressed different. Prophet Muhammad wore misk and what? Rose or musk oil. You walk around people, they got on sandal, and they got on Nubian and Kush, and people smell like a bowl of fruit. You walk in the mosque. All different kind of clothes. Prophet Muhammad wore white, and he wore black, and he wore green. He did not wear blue. Muslims don't wear blue. I don't know why these Muslims in this country persist on wearing blue. You won't find in any books in any Islamic country where blue is worn. They don't wear it. It's a symbol of the tribes of Judah, of the house of Israel. It's one of their colors, the coat of arms. They don't wear the color blue. Though we were called the blue people. But people who put it on. Sisters persist on calling a wall a veil. Hijab is a wall, not a veil. Hijab is a wall that they live behind, the Arab women. And if you go to Saudi now and you see one of those walls made up of these little fine prints where they look out because you don't see the real women, because they have servants that go shopping for them, that place is called hijab. You understand what I'm saying? The word khimar, from khayma, the word khayma means tent. Khimar means to cover. Khumra, which they translate in the Quran in English as wine, has nothing to do with the word wine at all. It has to do with blocking the intellect. Anything that blocks the intellect is haram. I'm talking about all of those teas, all of those coffees, and all of those cigarettes. All of these are khumra, not just wine. The word wine in Arabic is nabid. Khumra, intoxicant, something that intoxicates, that blocks and clouds the vision. That includes cigarette smoking. There's a lot of things that we got to probe into when we set up a nation. When we set up a people, we're going to raise the children. A lot of things. We got to have examples for them. We have to have laws. We have to know. We can't be dependent on a bunch of books from Lahore, Pakistan, by a bunch of people whose tongue is not even Arabic. If anything, you better train your children in Arabic and let them translate for you. You follow? It'll be a lot better for you to pay for an Arab to come here to train your child than for you to go over there and spend 5 years away from your child trying to learn it. Isn't it simpler just to raise the money and bring them here and let them teach your children? That's simple. Take them out the city, buy a farm, buy some land, learn to defend yourself, get ready, because jihad is coming. Don't you see what's happening in the Middle East? So what's going to happen when Hajj comes around and Mecca is controlled? This is in the making. This is the jihad. The Antichrist, I know y'all know, is already here. You can see the works of the Antichrist everywhere you look. They tell you when the signs of the Antichrist would be, right in Matthew 24. Wars and rumors of wars. Nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Pestilence. Earthquakes in all types of places. This is what Matthew 24 tells you. Are we not in a time of wars and rumors of wars? Isn't kingdoms against kingdoms and nations against nations? Isn't that not the time we're in? Yes. The book of Revelation is manifesting itself right now. It's sad that the Muslim world don't read it, because if they did, they'd find themselves in it and see themselves as the kings of the East, of which the Antichrist is going to rise right out of them. It's right in the Quran that the Bible out of the beast of the earth. It's going to come up and rise right in the midst of Mecca. Well, you look at the word Dabab, and out of it you get the word tank. A tank. It's already there. The word Arab means earth, planet earth, or ground. Dabab and Arab means tanks on the ground. That's different than in the books of Revelation about the judgment day. When they speak in the judgment day, let me show you what it says about the angel coming down. Revelation 9, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of this pit. Let me understand first. He saw a star fall, and when the star hit the ground, it passed in like a pit, and up and out of that pit gushed forth smoke. He saw a light shoot, and he saw it fall and hit the earth and go down, and then it gushed forth into smoke and fire. This look familiar? Does that look familiar? That looks like an atomic explosion he's describing. Remember, this is John. They didn't have atomic weapons then, so he had to use what he knew. He said he saw it go down into the ground, into the bottomless pit. They call it, you know what the Bible said, Hades. You know what Hades is? The center of the earth. That's all it means. It went down into the ground and gushed up smoke and fire and blocked out the sun. Radiation. A radiation storm. The sky becomes blackened. That's what he says. I saw a star fall from heaven upon the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. That means he opened the floor to go in. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there rose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air was darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts. Now this is very important. Upon the earth. And locusts do what? Huh? Fly. He saw locusts on the earth go up. Watch what happens. And unto them was given the power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. What do scorpions do? They sting. They kill. This locust has the power of a scorpion, Allah says. And it was commanded them. They were being commanded. You understand that? You understand locusts being commanded? Okay. That they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree. Do you know of any locusts that do not eat trees and grass? This is describing something that's going to become clear soon. But only those men which have not the seal of God, as they say, in their foreheads. And to them was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. That's a radiation fallout. And the torment was the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. You know what happens when a man gets struck by a scorpion? What? His body turns to heat. His face breaks out. He begins to dehydrate. His eyes can even bulge out of his head. You know what that is? The same thing that happens when radiation falls out. the body feels like it's on fire. The body begins to turn inside out. But they're going to tell you that these are not locusts pretty soon. And in those days shall man seek death and shall not find it. Why is man going to seek death then? Because after radiation fallout, the condition of the world and the condition of people who are disfigured from it, people are going to want to die and they're not going to be able to. People are going to seek death and can't find it. This is the same thing we Muslims know as zilzal in the Quran, the earthquake. Same time, the shaking. Watch. And the shapes of the locusts, now here they go. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared for battle. A formation. You understand? And on their heads were as it were crowns of gold. He saw the sun reflecting off of something. A plane. And their faces were the faces of men. You saw the tiger fighters? But they used the bomb, the planes where they draw faces, the mouths of lions on them. They have those again. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth is the description of the drawing. Whereas the teeth of lions, he's describing a plane, a fighter plane. This is what John saw 2,000 years ago. There was no planes, so he described them as locusts, flying in formation and shooting off something that stung the earth. But this happened after a great one fell and made an atomic explosion, which means there's going to be a first bomb, which is not a regular bomb, it's a neutrogen bomb. Why? How do you know? Because it says it won't hurt nothing but men. It won't destroy the plants or anything but men. Neutron. Before the neutron bomb was even thought of, this man saw this vision. All right? They had breastplates, as were the breastplates of iron. Have you ever seen a locust with an iron plate? What did John see? John saw planes flying in formation. He saw a plane shoot a star upon the earth in a great explosion. And then he saw it moving across the earth and take light into the sky in formation by command of someone. And stinging the earth and stinging men. But the bombs that they dropped did not destroy any of the plant life, only human beings who did not have the mark of the Almighty. You find it as a mark of the beast in the Bible also. But the mark of the Almighty is called Bism in Arabic. The mark that a Muslim gets from prostration, that don't mean go burn your head. It's not the mark by burn your head, it's the fact that you rise for prayer. Yuqinu salat. That's what it's talking about. Because Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Now, name a group of people that call themselves peacemakers. Christians call themselves the peacemakers. It says, Jesus said, because they believe in Jesus, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God, which we know they mean Allah Ta'ala. You say the word Muslim, you know what you're saying? Muslim, one who's of peace, not one who submits. Musallam, the shadda ala lam, is the one who submits. That could be used if I get you in a headlock. I can say tasallam, you surrender. The word Muslim with lam alif means one who's of peace. Al-Islam means a peaceful state. Jesus then told his followers that Muslim was going to come right out of his own followers. How many of y'all were Christians in some form or fashion? And now you're Muslim. Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. He was talking about the coming of Islam. He spoke about the comforter, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as Ahmed, praised, illustrious. And unto him shall be the gathering of the people. For he shall not speak of himself, only that which he hears shall he speak, the book of St. John says. And he shall glorify my holy name. Did not Muhammad in the Holy Quran, by leave of Allah Ta'ala, glorify Jesus? He did. He said, I've raised certain prophets in certain ranks and put them above each other like Jesus.
Refer to the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 253.
But it says, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the comforter of the book of St. John's. Muslims are the peacemakers of the book of Matthews. Was Jesus a Muslim or a Christian? It says in the Bible, Jesus went into the garden and fell on his face and prayed. You tell me one denomination of Christians did fall on their face and pray. One. Tell me one. Tell me one denomination of Jews did fall on their face and pray. You can't. Can you? But they said Jesus went into the garden and fell on his face and prayed and said, oh my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass by me. Jesus was a Muslim. Jesus said to his followers when he came into the upper room, he said, Salam Lakum. He didn't say Assalamu Alaikum. He said Salam Lakum. Peace be to you. He told his followers that he'd have other followers later. When did he say that? He said the 144,000. He described them and everything. He said they will climb Mount Zion. You know what the word Zion is? Zion is a translation from the word Jerusalem, from the word Urushalam. You know what the word Jerusalem means? It's like saying Dar Salam, place of peace, abode of peace. He told you who his fathers would be and where they would be. He told you who would lead them. He said Ahmed, the Comforter, would come. Now, why do they call Muhammad the Holy Ghost? Because Christians will say, no, brother. In the Bible, they call the Comforter the Holy Spirit. Why? Because when Jibreel came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said to him, Muhammad, Iqra. He said, Ya Jibreel, ma'ana biqari'an, I can't read. So when Jibreel put the words of Allah Ta'ala in the afidah, not the qab, there's a difference. There's afidah for heart in the Quran, and there's qab. In the afidah of Rasulullah, he put the words in his inner heart. There, the spirit of truth resided. So Muhammad was the spirit of truth. What was his name? Muhammad Alameen. The faithful. You follow that? This is the Bible I'm talking. I'm using the Bible. I'm not even talking. I'm off the Quran. I'm talking the Bible here. And in the Bible, Islam is talked about. You could see. And they had breastplates, as were the breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots, of many horses running for battle. What is that sound? The roar of engines. John didn't know what an engine was back 2,000 years ago. He had no idea what engines was for planes, like the Concours. He had no idea. He knew they had big wings, and from these wings of these metal things that looked like locusts, that acted like scorpions, hear this great sound. Now watch what he says. And they had tails like unto scorpions. They shot missiles. And there were stings in their tails. You know what a sting is? And their power was to hurt men 5 months. Radiation fallout. Check it out. 5 months. Check it out. And they had a king over them. Here's the part. Which is the angel of the bottomless pit. You know who that king is of the bottomless pit? Who they tell you was of the bottomless pit? Who would be cast into the bottomless pit? for a short period of time and then let loose. They gave all of his names in Revelations. They said the Satan, the devil, Lucifer, that old devil. They took you from his activity from the garden all the way up to the present day. They talking about the angel of the bottomless pit. They talking about Iblis himself. He is their commander because he works in the heart of the Messiah or Dajjal, the Antichrist or Messiah Dajjal, who's going to rise in the Arab world, y'all. Don't be looking for him to come out of the Christian world because he's not. Will rise up amongst the Arabs, the Antichrist. And you'll know him, I'll tell you how. It says, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue has the name Apollyon. You know what fact lies at that point right there? That this text here, the New Testament, could not have been in Greek nor Hebrew, like people say. How do you know? Because if it was in Greek and Hebrew, he would not have to translate the two words. He's translating it to Greek and Hebrew. So the text could not have been in Greek and Hebrew. And he's describing the beast of the bottomless pit. Woe, one woe is past, just one. And behold, there come two more woes, more hereafter. And the sixth angel sounded, I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God. They speak of the four angels that held the four winds back when the world was getting ready to come to an end. And he said, woe, hold it back until they are sealed in their foreheads. The same mark. The devil is making his mark on people, and the Lord is putting his mark on people. The mark of the Lord is the righteous Muslim. As Jesus said, blessed are the peacemakers. Not just a Muslim, because you're not a Muslim out of dress. And don't let no Muslim tell you anywhere in this Quran where it says Islam is in the heart of a person. Islam is your whole being. How do you know? Because he told Muhammad what? I just said it. He told Muhammad to read. Why didn't he just come and place the Quran in Muhammad's heart? Why did he seek a physical response from Rasulullah? Why did he command Rasulullah to bend and pray? A specific form of prayer. Why did he give him a specific direction in which to pray? Does not it say in the Quran that the east and the west belongs to Allah? There is no direction for Allah. So why are Muslims summoned to a direction? Why are Muslims ahdina sirat al-mustaqim, asked to be guided to the path of the taqwa? Those of Qiyam who are going to make it on Yawm al-Akhir. Why are they asked to do that? Why does it say in the hadith that a woman does not have to cover her face at Mecca? She does not have to cover her face in Mecca. What does that mean, sister? That means when not in Mecca, how should she be dressed? If it says in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, a woman does not have to cover her face while on Hajj, then when she's not on Hajj, what does she have to do? Cover her face. It describes the sunnah of Nabina Muhammad and how he dressed. It speaks about his taqiyya, speaks about his jalabiyya, it speaks about his it speaks about his sandal and his oil even. How he clipped his nails so that it did not go past the fingers. How he clipped his beard so it did not go beyond the hand span. And when his beard turned white, how he put henna in it to tilt it back. How Aisha used to braid his hair every other night. This is in the hadith.
We will return with the true light after this brief intermission.
Yeah.
Would you like to see the man behind the voice you hear teaching the total truth? He is there at the Hall of Knowledge located at 548 Hart Street, Brooklyn, New York. Every Saturday and Sunday at 1 p.m., the Nubian Islamic Hebrews would like to invite you to question and answer classes with As-Sayyid Al-Imam Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi. Come listen and learn. Hear the words of truth for yourself. Hear the answers to long-awaited questions. Also for your spiritual growth, an intricate design woven prayer rug designed by the hand of As-Sayyid Al-Imam Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi. Also available are prayer beads, incense, and oils. If you would like any further information on these items, contact the original Tents of Kedar, 719 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11221. And be sure to ask for a listing of the most dynamic books in history, authored by As-Sayyid Al-Imam Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi. Now is the time to ask questions of your leaders, teachers, and preachers. Where did all the races of people come from? Why did John have to baptize Jesus at the Jordan? And why do the four Gospels contradict each other? The answer to these questions can be with only one man, As-Sayyid Al-Imam Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi, the man who has written over 150 books on such topics as, is there life on other planets? How were the pyramids built? What race was Adam and Eve? And was the Holy Quran made up by Muhammad, or was it a divine scripture sent from the Most High? And what is the difference between the spirit and the soul? The answer to these questions can be found in the most dynamic books in history, authored by As-Sayyid Al-Imam Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi. These books can be purchased at the original Tent of Kedar at 719 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11221. Now let us continue with the true light. Remember, you are the light, and you have the power over all things.
These are physical descriptions of the life and practice of our Apostle Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How he dressed, how he ate, how he sat, how he laughed, how he pointed, how he talked. All of these things are mentioned in detail in the Sunnah. And he said to us, I left you with only two things, right? Two things I left you with. The Quran and my Sunnah. And then he said, do the opposite of the mushrikeen. Who are the mushrikeen? Anyone who does not believe in Tawheed, wahdahu la sharika lahu, is mushrikeen. You know what? It's sad. There's a whole lot of Muslims that are mushrikeen. Because they've now got Allah up here, and they put Muhammad here, right next to each other. Huwa Allah alladhi la ilaha illa huwa. It doesn't always have to be La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Huwa Allah alladhi la ilaha illa huwa. Huwa wahdahu la sharika lahu. You don't compare Muhammad, our beloved prophet, to Allah in any way. You don't compare the hadith of the apostle to the Quran of Allah. What is wrong? Where'd you go wrong? He said, I left you two things, the Quran and my way. Which one was first? The Quran. The Quran tells a Muslim how to dress. Tells a woman how to walk. It tells a woman, don't walk enticingly. Don't walk heel-toed. It says, don't put your heel down and your toe, because it'll cause your adornments to move. Meaning the woman would switch. So when you see a Muslim woman sleep, they say, stop switching. She's supposed to know that. It tells a woman to cover her face over her bosom. He was talking to a man when he pointed to her sister's face. Salma came to him with a thin dress on. And Rasulullah said, take that off. That's the likeness of what should be a curtain in a mosque. And made her take off this thin dress they gave her. And when she came back, the man said to her, well, I said to Rasulullah, how should a woman dress? And he said, only that, that, and that. You don't find in the hadith any place where it says her face should be revealed. He pointed there, there, and there. He does not say anywhere a woman's face should be exposed. You understand? He said to protect her adornments, her beauty. What is the most beautiful part of a woman according to the hadith? The hadith says the most beautiful part of a woman is her face. You understand that? He's telling them what should be covered and what should not be covered according to the Quran. And if you do like I have done, I've been to Sharq al-Awsat. That means I've been to Saudi, I've been to Iraq, I've been to Syria, I've been to Turkish, I've been all over the Arab world and studied in 3 different countries. I studied in Medina, I studied in Egypt, and I studied in Sudan. And when I leave the city and I go into the bush or the desert of any country, any of them, you find a woman with her face covered. In the bush, not in the city where they've been influenced by modern scholars, everybody trying to become Christians. But you go into the bush of Morocco, you see women with their face covered. Now here's the point. I've heard Muslims say that is tradition and that is custom. Right? But here you are in Saudi here, and a woman got a veil on. And way over there in Morocco, and a woman got a veil on. And way over there in Algeria, and a woman got a veil on the Sahara. You understand? And the men dress differently. If it was a custom of the country, wouldn't the men and the women be dressed the same? When you go to Sudan, you see the men wear a certain type of jalabiya and we wear a very sloppy imma, as you would call it. All sloppy. The women wear thobe, wrapped around. You go to Morocco, the woman wears a jalaba, has a split upside here, has a little hood on the back. The men wear a thing called a jubba, which is a jalabiya, which is very similar to this one here, with a silham, which is like a cape with a hood they put on their head. All these men have come out with these fine little minute differences in their dress. But all the women wear the veil. Now let's look at it. Is the native language of Pakistan Arabic? No. Is the native language of Saudi Arabia Arabic? Yes. Is the native language of Morocco Arabic? Yes. Is the native language of Algeria Arabic? Yes. Is the native language of Libya Arabic? Yes. Why is it that Pakistanians can tell you all in their hard Pakistan books that you don't have to wear a face veil, and you can look into the Arab magazines and see women with face veils in Arabic-speaking countries? Where did they get the idea? Tell me, anybody. Where did the veil? Don't tell me the Turkish, because the Turkish didn't have nothing 200 years ago. Where did they get the idea to cover their face from? Tell me where the idea came from and how it ended up on 4 different continents. They must have got it from something that they all have in common. And what is that? The Quran. Because the Moroccans in Maghribi, they have their own customs and traditions. You understand that? The women, the marriage, the divorce, everything is different. No, none of them follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah. They have their own customs and traditions of everything. But then when it comes to dress, all these women found their way to the veil until modernization and modern scholars even, modern Islamic scholars pop up on the scene. Don't let nobody tell you that that's because Islam is in your heart. Islam is not in your heart. Islam is in your ruh, in your soul. Islam is in your nafs. Islam is in your spirit, in your essence, not merely in your heart. You have 3 words for love in Arabic. This is what happens, why it's so important. You have hib, wood, and ishq. 3 different words for love. When you express compassion, it's wood, from the word Dawood or El-Wadud. When you like something or like the way it was done or like how it's done, it's hib. When it's a total control over the whole being, it's ishq. Which one of these 3 do you have in your heart? You understand what I'm trying to say? They're lying to us. Islam is not just in your heart. You have to practice Islam. The Prophet Muhammad said in his hadith that you're going to know the people of Dajjal because they're going to have the sign of a kafir on their forehead. Some Muslims are really looking to see some people with a K on their head. They really think so. You know what the sign of a kafir is on the head? If we were walking down the street and a man was coming down the street, he had a blue suit on with brass buttons, a gun, and a big silver thing, what would he be? If he had on a green suit, fatigues, you know, what would he be? Huh? Soldier, police. If he had on a white suit and a hat that sat up and had a little thing on the top of it, what do you think he was? A cook, a chef. You understand? How do you identify these people? Huh? By what they have on. If Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was to be walking down the street, how do you think he'd be dressed? Like the brother in the jalabiyah or the brother in the suit and tie? If Rasulullah was seen on the street, do you think he would have a clean shaven face, or do you think he'd have more than likely have a beard like this man has here? Huh? Based on the hadith, the sunnah, which describes him, which one do you think he'll look like? Him? Will he look like him, or will he look like a person without a beard? Huh? And if those women followed him, you think they'd have on Jordache? Or do you think they'd have on long, loose-fitting garbs and covered bodies? Anybody ever go to the airport? See the Arabs coming in the groups every morning? All the women are veiled up, then they get in and they take them off. How, why, I don't know. But I know they'll know on Yom Akhir. So when you see a person, you should know what they are. Correct? Now, he said, meaning Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, that some of his followers are going to go over to the Dajjal. And they're going to be deceived by promises of wealth the Dajjal is going to make to them. This is what he said. Muslims in the Muslim world are making new deals and new contracts of progress with the Western Christian world every day. Every day. New trade laws, new everything. He said, some of my followers are going to go over to the Dajjal for wealth. And all the Dajjal makes appear wealthy is going to perish. And he said, you'll know them because they have the sign of the kafir. Well, who is the kafir but the Dajjal's followers? All right? Now let me describe the Dajjal's follower. Short haircut, no beard, suitcase, gray flannel suit, and tie and shirt. Correct? So if a Muslim is dressed like that, who is he dressed like? He's dressed like the polytheist. Will you be able to look at him and know if he's a Muslim or not? Huh? No. Should you be able to look at a man and know if he's a Muslim? Yes, you should know your brother in the dark as well as in the light. You should know a Muslim. You should see a Muslim 4 blocks away and say, that's a Muslim or that's a mu'minati. You should know that. That's why the Prophet Muhammad said, you'll be able to look at the Dajjal and see the sign of kafir. Because when you look at him, you're going to see a kafir. Now, there's what they call mutakhir in Arabic. When a Muslim has the right to say he's not Muslim to do something for Islam. This is a law that's in the Sharia. Where it came from, I don't know, but it's there. Say for instance, you was a doctor, right? Or a pediatrician, and you operated on babies. And you came to me and said, Imam, if I wear my jalabiyah and my taghiyah to the hospital, I will lose my job. And I receive Muslim babies when they come in. You follow what I'm saying? What should I do? Should I tell you to leave the hospital and put the babies in the hands of the Yahudi, the Jew or the Christian? Or should I tell you to stay there, you follow that, and receive the babies in mutakhir? They had that also. Muslims were allowed to do things like that, to go amongst the camp. Salahuddin, you know who Salahuddin was? Of the crusade? Huh? How do you think Salahuddin was able to deceive the king? He lived with him, ate with him, cured him of his sickness and everything. How do you think he was able to deceive him into thinking he was not a Muslim if Salahuddin had to pray 5 times a day in front of the king? How? Huh? He had to pretend that he was not a Muslim. You understand that? To make the point. Read about the Crusades, you see it. It has happened in the history of Islam. But if you ain't got that as an excuse, then you better be in the dress of the Prophet Muhammad. Otherwise, you're going to be classified as Masjid al-Dajjal's followers. If you think that your living here is to make money and survive and get rich, then you have went over to become a follower of Dajjal. You're doing the exact same thing the outer world is doing right now, selling out Allah Ta'ala. Here's that Mecca. Right now, Mecca is a business proposition. It's who got the money. And Rasulullah told us in the last day, he said, my people are going to make Hajj just because they can afford it. I met Muslim brothers in Mecca. I walk up to them. I say, Salaam alaikum. I say, wa alaikum salam. I say, Anta min way. Min aina. Say, huh? Min fayn anta. Go to dialect. Huh? Where you from? America. That's the kalam Arabic? You don't speak Arabic? No. How are you going to perform the rites? Or have a mutawaf? This man, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a man who performs the rites for you for Hajj. So you go all the way up and spend all your money, and you're going to come back, now you're not Hajj. You're not Hajj. You just went on a vacation. That was the problem Muhammad said when he said, my followers will get to the point where they're wealthy enough to make out. A lot of Americans walk around, I'm Hajj this, I'm Hajj that. They don't even speak the language. They couldn't have made the rights because they can't even read Arabic. And no one can do it for you. If a man can make Hajj for you, then a man can make Salah for you. I can say, listen, I can't make Maghrib. You make Salah through Maghrib for me today. I can't make it. Nobody can make Hajj, but Hajj is a prayer. I don't know where they came up with this new thing with the mutawaf. That means the men who run around and lead people. Half of them are not even Muslims. This is what you're up against. We have decided here what a Muslim is, what a Muslim believes in, how a Muslim should dress. I'll take you to the Injil, how Isa foretold you're coming, how you are here. What are you waiting for?
If paradise is elevating to other galaxies, then what and where is hell?
Okay, hell is where you will make it. Hell, the Quran has many dimensions of the word for hell in Arabic. They have words from sir to lulh. They have many words, and each one of them describe the state of mind that people are going to put themselves in. Okay? Very rarely do you find the word makana, place. Hawiya, the bottomless pit, merely means a boundless place. That's more interpreted in Arabic as eternally than anything. Now, when we say that heaven is planes, we're talking about states of growth emotionally. Planes are not merely places. Places and things deal with nouns and physical objects that have to do with, like I mentioned earlier, the motion of molecules on the physical plane, right? Matter. When you start speaking about the planes emotionally and man elevating to those planes, we're talking about his spiritual growth and the speed in which his etheric body transforms into a spiritual body and into a soul force. And at the rate it's moving, he'll begin to vibrate on different levels. The same way, this room, the room you're sitting in, the light can become so bright into your octave nerves will cut off. That does not mean the light is not there. It means it got so bright that you can no longer take it. It will just block out your ability to see. Man has to elevate again back to those states, and depending on his spiritual growth will determine what he as a spiritual being will create in his environment that Allah Ta'ala refers to as Jannah in the Quran. The garden. He doesn't call it a place, he calls it a garden, and describes things that people on a physical plane can identify with. Rivers flowing in green grass and couches laid for man, because to describe a spiritual state to physical people is next to impossible. So he has to give you likenesses on the physical plane that you can identify with. You follow that?
Right.
And hell is an abode where people are going to judge themselves by their sins, not for their sins. And hell resides deep down in the essence of each individual. You give yourself hell when you do wrong and know it's wrong.
How does it compare to the last day or the day of standing?
Okay.
Would you put that in relation to
the Quran, Allah Ta'ala, in the Holy Quran, Allah Ta'ala teaches us that there are 3 stages of the end. The first being Yawm al-Din. Yawm al-Din, the day of Dunun, the day when people will be questioned about things, judgment. The next one Allah Ta'ala uses is Yawm al-Qiyamah. Yawm al-Qiyamah. The word Qiyamah comes from the Arabic word Qum, to stand up or to rise up. Not Ba'atha, to resurrect, but Qum, to just stand up physically. Okay, to erect yourself. And the last one is called Yawm al-Akhri. Yawm al-Akhri. The word Akhir means the final or the end. Man must pass through these three stages before he has totally become God-like again. Or when we have it, one with Allah. That means after his domain on the physical plane, the first thing is Yawm al-Din. Or Yawm al-Qiyamah, I should say. The day when he will come back as a sun-dried body, or a spiritual body, the Quran says, and stand to be judged. That's the first one is Yawm al-Qiyamah, to rise up, whether he's dead or alive, and in the spiritual form, go before the Ursh Allah, the throne of Allah Ta'ala, and at that point, he will start Yawm al-Din, the day when his records will be passed from Sijin or Iliyun, the two places mentioned in the Quran, as the prison or the exalted abode where the records and deeds of mortals are kept. You follow?
Yeah.
Then, after that record is passed to him in either his right hand from the front, from Iliyun, or his left hand from the back, from Sijin, then he goes to Yawm al-Akhir. Yawm al-Akhir in the Holy Quran is equivalent to the second death in the book of Revelations. What do I mean by the second death? Man dies here, then starts his judgment. And then as a spiritual being, whether or not he will go into Jannah, eternal salvation in the presence of the bosom of Allah Ta'ala, the Quran says, wherein he will reside khaliduna, eternally based on what you call time on earth, or will he be cast into the pit with Satan and the likes of him? You follow? Which will be his second death. If he's cast into a pit, that's the second death, where he will reside with Satan and his. Because remember, Satan as an angel cannot be destroyed. He's an angel of light. Him and his host of beings and the stones of Sijin will make up the tormentation that you believe in your mind is hell, and thus will project yourself into for suffering. Not you per se, but people. All right? Keep questioning. Do we get it? Do you get it out your mind totally?
Yeah, I'm still a little confused with this because you can live through this life and pass on. So my question is, how do you get through these different stages, or can we all get through these stages here?
They're growth stages. See, most people have lived many times before. Right? The scriptures confirm that Elish was Yahya, that John the Baptist was the return of Elijah, and that Moses and Elijah appeared to Isa on the mount in front of him. You follow that? These spiritual beings. The scriptures from the Quran straight back to the Injil, to the Torah, confirms the presence of angels in the form of men that incarnate to human beings. Like when the angel Jibreel, salam alaikum wa rahmatullah, appeared before Rasulullah Muhammad in the cave in Laylatul Qadr to give him the revelations of Al-Quran al-Kareem, right? And he also, Jibreel, appeared to Maryam, the mother of Jesus, to tell her the announcement of the birth of the Messiah, Jesus ibn Maryam, the son of Mary, correct? So we have records in the Holy Scriptures, be they the Torah, the Injil, or the Quran, or the Zabur, of supernatural beings appearing in the form of human beings to converse and interact even to the point of breaking bread and supping with mortals. And the Hadith confirms it when it mentions Jibreel coming to the Prophet Muhammad in the 40 Hadith. So we have records that there is life beyond this life throughout all of the scriptures. Insofar as this being Gabriel was with Abraham at one point, Moses at another point, Mary at another point, and Muhammad at another point, and we're talking 5,000 years. All right? And they always come with the same message. That man has to realize that he is one with the universe. He is one with the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and must raise himself back to that state so that he can go back to where these beings came from. These beings, angels as they call them, are coming from some abode to deal with mortals. And they're saying that you mortals want to get back to that abode. So the answer to your question is, there are levels of aspiration that men have to go through when they can make a transition from a mortal being to an immortal being. When they can let the spiritual self dominate the physical self and prepare their inner being for that journey back to wherever these beings come from. Of course, there's an answer, but to keep taking the subject deeper and deeper, just to say to wherever they come from, wherever Gabriel, the angel, comes from, and Uriel and Raphael and Michael, wherever they come from is where you're trying to get back to, and obviously came from if they said that man was placed on earth from someplace. Took the man and placed him in the garden. If they placed you in the garden, they brought you from somewhere. And that place is where you're trying to get back to. Yes, it is possible, but it calls for application, discipline, and obedience. Some of the things that the devil taught human beings not to do. To apply themselves to the best of their ability, to obey and be obeyed. They can't take instructions because everybody, since the beginning of Genesis, is suffering from a God complex. When the devil said that he does know that in the day you eat thereof, your eyes shall be open and you shall be as gods. Now everybody you meet thinks they understand the scriptures, thinks they got a monopoly on its meaning. Everybody wants to be the God. Instead of admitting they don't know and sitting down and be instructed so they can make it, everybody tries to interpret it themselves because their ego dominates their divinity.
اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم صدق الله العظيم.
Yeah.